The market on Valens Station was always crowded on the seventh day. Hundreds of different aliens moved between the stalls buying food, tools, and supplies. The air smelled like a mix of strange spices and engine oil. Somewhere in the distance, a merchant was shouting about his prices in a language that sounded like clicks and whistles. Taman walked through the crowd with his head down. He carried a box of power cells on his shoulder, taking them from the cargo bay to a repair shop on the other side of the market. He had been working on Valens Station for 3 months now. In 2 more days, he would leave forever. A colony ship was heading to the outer rim, and he had bought a ticket. No one would know him there. No one would ask questions about his past. That was what he wanted. To disappear, he passed by a small shop that sold supplies for human workers. A woman stood outside organizing containers of dried food. Her daughter, a small girl with bright eyes, was playing near the entrance. Taman had seen them before but never spoke to them. He never spoke to anyone if he could help it. The little girl was chasing something, a small earth butterfly that someone had brought to the station. It flew in circles and she laughed as she followed it. Her mother called out to her, "Yuri, stay close!" But Yuri was not listening. She ran after the butterfly, her eyes on the sky. She did not see the large alien walking toward her. The krill warrior was huge. His skin looked like red stone and his arms were thick like tree trunks. He wore armor that showed his rank, and he carried a cup of something that steamed and smelled terrible. Other aliens moved out of his way quickly. The krill were known for their strength and their anger. Yuri ran straight into him. The cup flew from his hand and crashed to the ground. The liquid inside spread across the floor like purple blood. The butterfly flew away. Yuri fell backward and looked up at the massive creature above her. The market went quiet. The krill warrior looked down at the child. His eyes were like yellow fire. He made a sound deep in his throat that made the air vibrate. Yuri's mother, Hana, screamed and started running toward them, but she was too far away. "Insult!" the krill roared. His voice was so loud that Taman felt it in his chest. Insult demands answer. The krill had rules. Taman knew this. Everyone on the station knew this. If you insulted a krill warrior, they had the right to give you punishment. 7 blows. It was their law, their honor code. What the krill thought was a light punishment would kill a human child instantly. The warrior raised his massive arm. His fist was the size of Yuri's head. Taman did not think. He dropped his box and ran. He reached them just as the arm came down. He grabbed Yuri and pulled her behind him, raising his other arm to protect his head. The krill's fist hit him like a falling rock. Pain exploded through Taman's arm and shoulder. He heard something crack. His vision went white for a second, but he did not fall. He pushed Yuri further behind him and stayed on his feet. The krill warrior stopped and stared. Most species would be on the ground after 1 blow. Unconscious or dead? "Move, human," the warrior growled. "The insult must be answered." "No," Taman said. His voice shook, but he stood firm. "She's a child." She didn't mean it. "Honor demands 7 blows. This is our law." "Then hit me." The crowd around them had grown. Aliens of every type watched. Hana reached them and tried to pull Taman away, but he would not move. "Please," she begged. "Please, she's just a child." The krill warrior looked at Taman. Something changed in his yellow eyes. Perhaps it was respect. Perhaps it was curiosity. "You will take her punishment?" "Yes, 7 blows." "You will die, human." "Maybe," Taman said. He could taste blood in his mouth from the first hit. His arm hung at a wrong angle. "But you'll have to go through me to get to her." The krill studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "As you choose." The second blow came. Taman raised his good arm to protect his head. The impact drove him back 2 steps, but he did not fall. Something inside his chest broke. He could not breathe right. The third blow. His knees almost gave out. Blood ran from his nose and mouth. Behind him, Yuri was crying. Hana was screaming. The crowd watched in silence. The 4th blow. His vision blurred. The world tilted, but he thought of all the people he could not save before, all the faces that haunted his dreams. This child, at least. This one child he could save. He stayed standing. The 5th blow caught him in the ribs. He heard them crack like dry wood. The pain was so big that it went beyond pain into something else, some distant place where his body was happening to someone else. The 6th blow. He was not sure how he was still conscious. His legs were shaking. Blood ran down his chin and dripped onto the floor. But he was still standing, still between the krill and the child. The Krill warrior raised his arm for the seventh and final blow, but he hesitated. He looked at this small, broken human who would not fall, who would not move, who stood like a wall between him and a child that was not even his blood. The seventh blow came down lighter than the others. It was still enough to make Taemin's head snap back, still enough to send fresh pain through his body, but he understood what it meant. The Krill warrior lowered his arm. 7 blows given, he said quietly. Honor is satisfied. Taemin tried to answer, but his legs finally gave out. He fell to his knees, then forward. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was Hana catching him, tears running down her face and little Yuri safe behind her. The market erupted in noise. Aliens talked in dozens of languages, shocked and amazed. Some ran to get medical help. Others just stared. The Krill warrior stood there for a moment, looking at the fallen human. Then he did something that no one expected. He placed his fist over his heart and bowed his head. It was a small gesture of respect. Pakresh, he said softly. The word meant something like iron-blooded in his language. It was the highest honor a Krill could give. Then he turned and walked away, leaving the humans and the crowd behind. Hana held Taemin's broken body and called for help. Yuri pressed against her mother's side, crying but alive, unharmed, safe. And Taemin, unconscious and bleeding, had done what he thought he could never do again. He had saved someone. The medical bay on Valan Station smelled clean and sharp, like chemicals that killed germs. Taemin woke up slowly, pain dragging him back to the world. Everything hurt. His chest felt like it was full of broken glass. His left arm was wrapped in something hard and cold. He opened his eyes and saw white lights above him. A medical drone hovered nearby, its blue sensors scanning his body. Somewhere to his right, he heard breathing. He turned his head slowly because even that hurt, and saw Hana sitting in a chair next to his bed. She looked tired. Her eyes were red like she had been crying. When she saw him awake, she sat up straight. "You're an idiot," she said. Her voice was rough. "The doctor said you should be dead." Taemin tried to talk, but his throat was dry. Hana picked up a cup of water and helped him drink. The water was cool and tasted like metal. "The girl?" he managed to ask. "Yuri is fine. Not a scratch on her. Because of you." Hana put the cup down. Her hands were shaking a little. "They said you have 3 broken ribs, a fractured arm, internal bleeding, and a concussion. The doctors had to use advanced medicine just to keep you alive. How long was I out?" 2 days, 2 days. Taemin closed his eyes. His colony ship would leave tomorrow. He had planned to be far away from this station, floating in cryosleep toward some distant world where nobody knew his name. "I need to leave," he said. Your ship can wait." Hana's voice became hard. "We need to talk." She stood up and walked to the door. She looked outside, then closed it. When she came back, her face was serious. "I asked around about you," she said. "People say you keep to yourself. You work hard, never cause trouble, never make friends. You've been here 3 months and nobody knows anything about you except that you're leaving." Taemin said nothing. "I also learned something else," Hana continued. "You were a medic. During the first contact wars, the cargo supervisor told me. He recognized your name from the service records." Taemin's jaw tightened. He did not want to talk about this. "You saved lives back then," Hana said quietly. "And you saved my daughter's life 2 days ago. You took 7 blows from a Krill warrior. Do you understand what that means?" "I did what anyone would do." "No." Hana shook her head. "No, that's not true. Most people would have looked away. Most people would have been too scared. You threw yourself between a monster and a child you don't even know." "She's just a kid," Taemin said. "She didn't deserve—" "And you did?" Hana's voice rose. "You deserve to almost die? You deserve to have your bones broken?" Taemin looked away. He did not have an answer for that. Hana took a deep breath, calming herself. When she spoke again, her voice was steady. "In my family, we have old traditions. Earth traditions that my grandmother taught me. One of them is about life debts. When someone saves your child's life, you owe them everything. You cannot let that debt go unpaid." "You don't owe me anything," Taemin said. "Yes, I do." Hana pulled something from her pocket. It was a small knife with a white handle. She pressed the blade against her palm, making a small cut. Blood welled up red and bright. "What are you doing?" "I declare a life debt," Hana said loudly. She held up her bleeding hand. "Witnessed by the walls of this room and by any who hear, Taemin saved my daughter Yuri. I, Hana, owe him a debt that cannot be measured. Until this debt is repaid, he is under my protection and my responsibility. That's not necessary. It's done. She wrapped her hand in a cloth. And there are witnesses. The door opened. 3 other humans stood there. Taman recognized them from the market. They must have been waiting outside. We heard, one of them said, an older man with gray hair. We witnessed, the debt declared. This is crazy, Taman said. I'm leaving tomorrow. No, you're not. Hana crossed her arms. Your travel documents have been lost. Station administration is very sorry, but these things happen. It will take at least 2 weeks to issue new ones. Taman stared at her. You didn't. I did. And your berth on the colony ship has been cancelled. Terrible computer error. Very unfortunate. You can't just... I can, and I have. Hana sat back down in the chair. You saved my daughter. You almost died doing it. I will not let you run away to some distant planet to disappear. Not until I've repaid what you did. I don't want repayment. Too bad. Hana's voice was gentle but firm. You don't get a choice. The debt is declared, and I will honor it. That's how this works. Taman closed his eyes. He felt trapped. He had come to this station to work for a few months, earn enough money for his ticket, and leave. He had not wanted connections. He had not wanted people to know him or care about him. He had not wanted to matter to anyone. But now this woman had bound herself to him with blood and old words, and he did not know how to escape it. Why? He asked quietly. Why do this? I'll just be in your way. Hana was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. My husband died 2 years ago. Station accident. Since then, it's been just me and Yuri. Do you know how hard it is to raise a child alone on a station like this? Where humans are seen as weak. Where we have to fight for every bit of respect? She looked down at her hands. Yuri is everything to me. She's my whole world. And you stood between her and death without even thinking. You took blows that should have killed you. You didn't run. You didn't negotiate. You just stood there, like a wall. Tears ran down her face, but she did not wipe them away. So yes, I'm keeping you here, because my daughter is alive because of you. And I will spend every day making sure you understand that your life matters, that you matter. Taman felt something break inside his chest, and it was not his ribs. It was something deeper, something he had built carefully over months and years to keep himself separate from the world. I was running away, he whispered. From the war, from the people I couldn't save. I thought if I went far enough it would stop hurting. Does it work? Hana asked. Running away? Taman thought about all the stations he had worked on, all the temporary rooms he had slept in, all the faces he had not let himself remember. No, he admitted. It doesn't. Then maybe try something different. Stay. Heal. Let me help you like you helped Yuri. The door opened again and a small figure rushed in. Yuri ran to the bed and stopped just before touching him. Suddenly scared she might hurt him. You're awake, she said. Her eyes were big and wet. I was so scared. Mom said you were sleeping, but I thought you were dead like the people in the stories. I'm okay, Taman said. His voice cracked. You saved me. Yuri's voice was small. The big alien was going to hit me and you stopped him. You got hurt instead of me. Yeah. Why? Such a simple question. Why? Taman looked at this child, this small human girl who had her whole life ahead of her. Because you deserve to grow up, he said. Because you didn't do anything wrong. Yuri climbed onto the chair next to Hana. Are you going to go away? Taman looked at Hana. She looked back at him, her eyes steady and certain. No, he said finally. I guess I'm staying for a while. Yuri smiled. It was the kind of smile that made the pain in his body seem smaller. Good, Mom makes really good food. And I can show you my drawings. Hana reached out and squeezed his good hand. Thank you, she whispered. Taman squeezed back. For the first time in a very long time, he felt like maybe running away was not the answer. Maybe, just maybe, staying was the braver choice. The story spread through Valon Station like fire through dry grass. A human had taken 7 blows from a krill warrior and lived. Not just lived. He had stood through all of them, protecting a child. Aliens who had never paid attention to humans before suddenly wanted to know more. Taman stayed in the medical bay for 5 more days. His body healed slowly, but it healed. The doctors were amazed. They said humans had a strange ability to survive injuries that would kill other species. Taman did not feel special. He just felt sore. Hana visited every day, bringing food from her shop. Real Earth food, not the synthetic stuff from the station dispensers. Soup with vegetables, bread that was still warm, small things that reminded him of home. Yuri came too. She sat in the corner and drew pictures with colored pens. Sometimes she showed them to Taman. Pictures of him standing like a giant between her and the Krill warrior. In her drawings, he looked much braver than he felt. On the 6th day, Hana came with news. "There's someone who wants to see you," she said. She looked nervous. "Who?" "The Krill, the one who—" "You know?" Taman's heart jumped. "Tell him to go away." "I can't, he's already here." The door opened and the Krill warrior had to bend down to fit through it. He was even bigger than Taman remembered. His red stone skin had patterns carved into it, and his yellow eyes found Taman immediately. Hana moved to stand between them, but the Krill raised his hand. "I mean no harm," he said. His voice was deep like thunder far away. "I come to speak." "Then speak," Hana said. Her voice shook, but she did not move. The Krill looked at her, then at Taman. "You are brave, small mother. Like him." He pointed at Taman. "You would fight me if I threatened him." "Yes," Hana said simply. Something that might have been a smile crossed the Krill's face. He reached into his armor and pulled out a small object. It was a piece of red stone carved into a circle with symbols on it. "My name is Derek," the warrior said. "I come to give honor." He walked to the bed and held out the stone. Taman did not move. "What is this?" "Among my people there is a word, Pakresh. It means one who has iron blood, one who will not break." Derek placed the stone on the bed next to Taman. "I have fought in many battles. I have seen warriors of many species fall. But you, small human, you stood through 7 ritual blows. This should not be possible." "I didn't have a choice," Taman said. "There is always a choice. You could have let the child face her punishment. You could have run. You could have begged." Derek's eyes were serious. "Instead, you stood, you bled. You did not fall until honor was satisfied. This is Pakresh." He placed his fist over his heart and bowed his head. It was the same gesture he had made in the market, but now Taman understood what it meant. It was how Krill warriors showed respect to equals. "I was wrong about humans," Derek said. "I thought you were weak. Fragile things that break easily. But you are not fragile. You are like the deep roots of a mountain tree. You bend, but you do not break." "Thank you," Taman said, not knowing what else to say. Derek straightened up. "I will tell my clan about you. About the human who has iron blood. They will know that your species is worthy of respect." He looked at Hana. "And you, small mother. You declared blood debt, yes?" "Yes," Hana said. "This is good. Protect him. He is rare." With that, the massive warrior turned and left, ducking through the door and disappearing down the hallway. Hana let out a breath she had been holding. That was terrifying. Taman picked up the stone. It was warm, like it held heat from Derek's body. The symbols carved into it were beautiful and complex. "What just happened?" "I think," Hana said slowly, "you just earned the respect of the Krill. And if the Krill respect humans, others will notice." She was right. Over the next few days, things began to change on the station. Aliens who used to push past humans in the corridors started giving them space. Merchants who used to charge humans extra started offering fair prices. The station security, which had mostly ignored human complaints before, started actually responding to calls. When Taman was finally released from the medical bay, he walked through the market with Hana. People stared, but it was different now. Before, they had looked at humans like they were insects or pets. Now they looked with something like curiosity. Like they were seeing humans for the first time. An alien with blue skin and too many arms stopped them. "You are the one who took the Krill blows?" she asked in broken human language. "Yes," Taman said. "This is impressive. Very impressive. I tell my children about you." How the small human stood strong. She bowed her head and walked away. It happened again and again. Aliens coming up to them, wanting to hear the story. Wanting to see the human who survived. Taman hated the attention, but Hana smiled and answered their questions politely. "This is good for all of us," she explained later, back at her shop. "If they respect you, they respect all humans. We've been treated like second-class citizens since we came to this station. Maybe now that will change." Taman sat down carefully, his ribs still aching. The shop was small but clean, with shelves full of supplies and dried foods. Yuri was in the back room doing her homework on a tablet. I didn't do it for respect, he said. I know. You did it because it was right. That's what makes it matter. Hana started organizing some boxes. I've been thinking, you need a place to stay while you recover, and while we figure out how to repay this debt. I have a room in the workers' quarters. That tiny cube with no windows? No, you're staying with us. We have a spare room. It's small, but it's better than what you have. Hana, it's already decided. Your things are already moved. Taemin stared at her. You moved my things? I had help. The community wanted to do something for you. So they helped. She smiled. You're stuck with us now. Get used to it. That evening, Taemin saw his new room. It really was small, just big enough for a bed and a small desk. But it had a window that looked out at the stars, and the bed was comfortable. Someone had left flowers in a cup on the desk, real flowers from Earth, which must have cost a lot on the station. He sat on the bed and looked at the krill stone that Darak had given him. The symbols caught the light and seemed to glow. There was a soft knock on the door. Yuri peeked in. Mom says dinner is ready. We're having rice and vegetables. She made extra because you need to get strong again. I'll be right there, Taemin said. Yuri stayed in the doorway. Are you really going to stay with us? For a while, yes. Good, she smiled. I was scared you would leave. I don't want you to go away. She ran off before he could answer. Taemin heard her telling Hana that he was coming. He stood up slowly, his body still protesting every movement. Through the wall, he could hear Hana and Yuri talking and laughing. He could smell the food cooking. It smelled like home. For 2 years, he had run from connection. He had run from caring about people, from letting people care about him. He had thought it would hurt less if he stayed alone, but standing here in this small room with flowers on the desk, listening to the sound of family, he realized something. Running did not make the pain go away. It just made him empty. Maybe staying would hurt. Maybe getting close to people would open him up to loss and fear again, but maybe it was worth it. He walked out of his room and toward the kitchen where Hana was setting the table and Yuri was chattering about her day. They looked up when he entered and they smiled. Sit, Hana said. You're part of the family now. No formality needed, Taemin sat down. The chair was comfortable. The food smelled amazing. Yuri kicked her feet under the table and told him about the drawing she was working on. And for the first time in years, Taemin felt like he was not running anymore. He felt like he was home. 3 weeks passed like water flowing downhill. Taemin's ribs healed enough that he could move without pain shooting through his chest. His arm was still in a brace, but the doctor said it was mending well. Better than expected, they kept saying. Humans heal strangely. He worked in Hana's shop during the day, helping her organize inventory and deal with customers. It was simple work, and it felt good to be useful. Yuri would come back from her school lessons and do her homework at the counter while they worked. In the evenings, they ate together. Hana cooked, and Taemin learned that she was very good at it. It felt like having a family again. But on the 23rd day, everything changed. Taemin was carrying boxes in the storage room when the alarm started. Not the regular station sounds, but the emergency sirens. The lights turned red and a voice came over the speakers. Fire and lower engineering. Sections 12 through 17. All personnel evacuate. Repeat. Fire and lower engineering. Taemin dropped the box and ran to the front of the shop. Hana was already there, looking at her tablet with a pale face. What's wrong? He asked. Lower engineering. That's where the atmospheric processors are. The air down there, she looked up at him. It's toxic. The gases they use to process air for the different species. If those tanks rupture in the fire, how many people work down there? At this time, maybe 20, maybe more. The tablet in her hand buzzed with updates. Hana read them, her face getting paler. 17 workers are trapped. The fire is blocking the main exits. Emergency crews are trying to get to them, but the toxic gases are spreading. Most species can only survive down there for a few minutes without protection. Taemin felt his old training kick in. Years of being a medic in war zones, of running toward danger instead of away from it. What about humans? Hana looked at him. She understood immediately what he was thinking. No, absolutely not. You're still healing. What about humans? He repeated. She bit her lip. Human lungs are different. We evolved on a planet with lots of different environments. We can handle some toxic gases better than other species. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes instead of 5. But Taemin, that's still better than nothing. He was already moving, pulling off the brace on his arm. It hurt, but he could use the arm if he had to. Where's the emergency equipment? You just got better. You can't, Hana. He stopped and looked at her. There are people dying down there. Some of them are human. I was a medic. I know how to do this. You'll die. Maybe. But if I do nothing, they definitely will. Hana closed her eyes. When she opened them, there were tears there, but her voice was steady. The emergency lockers are on level 5 near the lift access to lower engineering. You'll need breathing masks and thermal suits. Are you coming? Someone has to make sure you don't do something stupid. She turned to Yuri, who had been watching with frightened eyes. Baby, go to Mrs. Kim next door. Stay with her until we get back. Mom. Now, Yuri. The girl ran. Taemin and Hana ran too in the opposite direction, through the corridors of the station, past aliens who were evacuating, past security teams trying to organize the chaos. They reached level 5 and found the emergency lockers. The breathing masks were designed for multiple species. Taemin grabbed 2 and handed one to Hana. They were not perfect, but they would filter some of the toxic gases. The thermal suits would protect them from the heat. You don't have to come, Taemin said as they suited up. Yes, I do. You saved my daughter. Now I save people with you. Hana pulled the mask over her face. Besides, someone needs to make sure you come back. They took the lift down to lower engineering. The temperature rose with every floor. By the time they reached the bottom, Taemin could see smoke seeping through the door seals. The doors opened and heat hit them like a wall. The corridor was full of smoke. Emergency lights flickered red. Somewhere ahead, Taemin could hear people shouting. They ran toward the sound. The fire had started in a processing room and spread to the main corridor. The trapped workers were on the other side, cut off by flames and toxic smoke. The emergency crews had tried to reach them but had been driven back. The crew leader, a tall alien with green skin, saw Taemin and Hana approach. You can't go in there, she said. The atmosphere is deadly. How long can your people last in there? Taemin asked. 5 minutes, maybe 6. Humans can last longer. We're going. The crew leader looked at them. You'll die, probably, but we have to try. Hana squeezed his hand. Together, they went through the fire. The heat was incredible even with the suits. The smoke was thick and black. Taemin could barely see 3 feet ahead. His mask filtered the air, but he could still taste the chemicals. Bitter and sharp. They found the first worker 50 feet in. A small alien with blue fur collapsed against the wall. Taemin checked for breathing. Still alive, barely. He lifted the alien over his shoulder. His ribs screamed in protest, but he ignored them. Can you walk? He shouted to the alien. No response. Unconscious. Hana found 2 more workers just beyond. She helped them to their feet, supporting them as they stumbled back toward safety. Taemin followed with the unconscious one. They made it back to the emergency crews and handed off the workers. The crew leader stared at them. There are more inside. At least 12 more. We know, Taemin said. He and Hana went back in. This time they went deeper. The toxic gases were worse here. Taemin could feel them burning his throat even through the mask. His eyes watered. His lungs ached. But he kept moving. They found 5 more workers huddled in a side room. 3 humans, 2 aliens. One of the humans was badly burned. Can you walk? Taemin asked them. I think so, one of the humans said, a young woman with short black hair. But Minho is hurt bad. And these 2, she pointed at the aliens. They're barely breathing. We'll get you out. Stay close, they formed a line. Hana in front, then the walking wounded, then Taemin carrying the burned human. They moved through the smoke like a chain, each person holding onto the one in front. The heat was getting worse. Taemin's suit was starting to melt in places. His mask was cracking. He could feel the toxic air seeping in, burning with every breath, but he kept walking. They emerged from the smoke. The emergency crews rushed forward, taking the wounded. Medical drones swarmed around them. How many more? The crew leader asked. At least 7, the young woman said between coughs. They were in the control room. Taemin looked at Hana. Her suit was damaged. Her mask was cracked like his. They were both breathing hard, both suffering from the toxic air. One more time, he said. One more time, she agreed. They went back into hell. The control room was at the far end of the corridor. The fire was worse now, spreading as the oxygen fed it. Taemin and Hana had to crawl under the smoke, feeling their way along the walls. They found the control room door sealed. Safety protocols had locked it when the fire started. Taman pounded on it. "Anyone in there?" A weak voice answered. "We're here. 7 of us." "The door won't open." Taman looked around for something to pry the door with. His vision was blurring. The toxic air was overwhelming his mask. He could feel his body starting to shut down. Hana grabbed his shoulder and pointed. "A fire axe in an emergency case." He grabbed it and started hammering at the door controls once, twice, 3 times. The controls sparked and died. The door slid open. 7 workers stumbled out. 4 humans, 3 aliens, all of them barely conscious. Taman and Hana helped them up, supporting them. "Move," Taman croaked. "We have to move now." They staggered back through the corridor. The fire was everywhere now. Falling debris, explosions from ruptured tanks. Taman's legs felt like water. His lungs were on fire. Hana was barely standing, but they did not stop. They carried the workers through the flames, through the smoke, through the toxic air that was killing them with every breath. And when they finally stumbled out into the emergency zone, when the crews rushed forward to take the wounded, Taman and Hana collapsed. The last thing Taman saw before darkness took him was the crew leader looking down at them with something like awe. "Impossible," she whispered. "No one should survive that. But humans did. Because humans endured. Because humans refused to quit, even when their bodies were breaking, even when every breath was agony. They endured because someone needed saving. And that was what made them human." Taman woke up in the medical bay again. This time he was not surprised. The ceiling was the same white panels. The smell was the same sharp chemical scent. Even the medical drone hovering nearby looked familiar. His chest hurt worse than before. Every breath felt like he was breathing fire. His throat was raw. When he tried to swallow, it felt like swallowing broken glass. "You're awake." "Good." He turned his head slowly. Hana was in the next bed, oxygen tubes in her nose. Her face was pale and she looked exhausted, but she was alive. "Did everyone make it?" Taman's voice came out as a whisper. "Yes, all 17 workers survived. Because of us." Hana smiled weakly. "The doctors say our lungs are damaged. Severe chemical burns. We'll be here for a while." "Worth it?" "Yes," Hana agreed. "Worth it." They lay in silence for a while, just breathing. Being alive. Outside the window, Taman could see the stars turning slowly as the station rotated. "Why did you come with me?" he asked finally. "You could have stayed safe with Yuri." "Because you were going to do it anyway. Someone had to watch your back. You almost died. So did you." Again. Hana turned her head to look at him. "You seem to make a habit of it." "I don't try to, I know. You just see someone who needs help and you run toward the danger, like it's the most natural thing in the world." She paused. "Why, Taman? Why do you do this?" He closed his eyes. The question he had been avoiding. The question he had been running from for 2 years. "Because I couldn't save them," he said quietly. "Who? Everyone, anyone." He opened his eyes and stared at the ceiling. "During the war, I was a field medic. I worked on the front lines when humans first encountered hostile alien species. Before the treaties. Before the peace." Hana said nothing, just listened. "We didn't know what we were doing," Taman continued. "We didn't understand alien biology. We didn't have the right medicines. And there were so many wounded. Every day, more wounded than we could handle." His hands clenched into fists. "I had to choose. Who to save and who to let die. We didn't have enough supplies for everyone. Didn't have enough time. So I chose." His voice broke. "I chose who lived and who died." "How many did you save?" "Hundreds. Maybe 1,000 over 2 years. And how many did you lose?" Taman was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. I stopped counting after the first 100. But I remember their faces. Every single one. I see them when I close my eyes. I hear them calling for help." Tears ran down the sides of his face into his hair. "There was this kid, Junho, he was 19. Took shrapnel in his chest. I was working on someone else, someone I thought had a better chance. By the time I got to Junho, it was too late. He looked at me and asked if he was going to be okay. And I lied. I told him yes. I held his hand while he died." "Oh, Taman," Hana whispered. "After the war ended, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't be around people. Couldn't let anyone depend on me. Because what if I failed again? What if I had to choose again?" He looked at her. "So I ran. I worked on stations far from Earth, never stayed long. Never made friends. I thought if I kept moving, I could outrun the guilt. Did it work? No, the faces followed me everywhere. He laughed bitterly. I was going to that colony on the outer rim to disappear, to find some place so far away that maybe I could finally forget. Hana reached across the space between their beds. Her hand found his. You saved my daughter. You saved 17 people from that fire. You're a good person, Taman. I'm a person who let people die. You're a person who saved the ones you could. Hana's grip tightened. Do you think you're the only one who had to make impossible choices? Do you think you're the only one who sees faces at night? Something in her voice made him look at her. Really look at her, my husband, Hana said softly. His name was Dae-hyun. The accident that killed him. I was there. Taman waited. A cargo container broke loose during loading. It was going to crush a group of workers. 5 people. Dae-hyun saw it happening. He could have run. He could have saved himself. But he didn't. Hana's voice shook. He pushed 3 of them out of the way. He saved them, but the container caught him and 1 other worker. They both died. I'm sorry. For months after, I hated him. I hated that he chose to save strangers instead of staying with me and Yuri. I hated that he left us alone. I hated that he was a hero when all I wanted was for him to be alive. She wiped her eyes, but then I realized something. Dae-hyun did what he thought was right. He saved 3 people. 3 families got to keep their loved ones because of him. That doesn't make it easier. No, it doesn't. But it makes it mean something. Hana looked at him. After he died, I almost gave up. This station was hard. Humans are treated like we're nothing here. Raising Yuri alone felt impossible. Some days I wanted to take her back to Earth, to give up on making a life out here. Why didn't you? Because Yuri needed me. Because giving up would mean Dae-hyun's sacrifice meant nothing. Because enduring is what we do, she smiled sadly. We're human. We endure things that would break other species. Not because we're stronger, but because we refuse to stay down. Taman felt something shift inside him, a weight he had been carrying for so long that he had forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. I've been running for 2 years, he said, trying to escape what I did, what I couldn't do. And did it help? No, it just made me alone. Then maybe try something different. Stop running. Stand still. Let the pain exist, but don't let it control you. Hana squeezed his hand. You can't save everyone, Taman. No one can. But you can save the people in front of you. Like Yuri. Like those 17 workers. That has to be enough. What if it's not? Then you try again tomorrow. And the day after. And you keep trying until the good you do outweighs the pain you carry. She smiled. And you let people help you. You let people in. Because carrying this alone will kill you. The door burst open and Yuri ran in. She was crying. Mom, Taman! Hana opened her arm and Yuri climbed carefully onto her bed, crying into her shoulder. I was so scared. They said you went into the fire. They said you almost died. We're okay, baby. We're okay. Yuri looked at Taman. You went into the fire to save people? Yes. Why do you keep doing dangerous things? Taman thought about all the answers he could give. About duty. About guilt. About trying to make up for the past. But looking at this child's tear-stained face, he realized there was only one true answer. Because people needed help, and I could help them, but what if you die? Then I die knowing I tried to do the right thing. Yuri climbed off Hana's bed and walked to his. She was small enough that she could fit in the space beside him without hurting his injuries. She curled up against his side like a small cat. I don't want you to die, she said quietly. You're family now. Taman looked at Hana. She was smiling through her tears. Family, he repeated. The word felt strange in his mouth, foreign but also warm. Yes, Hana said, family. Whether you like it or not, you're stuck with us. We've decided. You can't just decide someone is family. We're human. We can decide anything we want, she grinned. Besides, you saved my daughter. You went into a fire with me to save strangers. If that doesn't make you family, I don't know what does. Taman felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years. Something that felt like hope. Like maybe he could stop running. Like maybe the guilt and the pain didn't have to define him. Okay, he said softly. Okay, I'll stay. Yuri hugged him tighter. Hana reached over and took his hand again. And lying there in the medical bay, surrounded by people who cared about him, Taman finally let himself believe that maybe he deserved to be saved too. Not from danger, not from pain, but from himself, from the running. from the isolation, from the belief that he didn't deserve connection or love. He had spent 2 years trying to disappear. Maybe it was time to let himself be found. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" Hana asked. "For not letting me go, for keeping me here, for making me part of your family." "You did that yourself," Hana said. "We just gave you a reason to stay." Outside the window, the stars continued their slow rotation. The station hummed with life. Somewhere in the corridors, people were going about their day, living and working and surviving. And in the medical bay, 3 humans lay together. Broken but healing, tired but alive. A family forged not by blood but by choice, by sacrifice, by the very human act of standing up for each other no matter the cost. It was enough. The colony ship left without Taman. He watched it go from the observation deck on level 7, Hana standing beside him. The ship was just a small light moving against the stars, getting smaller and smaller until it disappeared. "Any regrets?" Hana asked. Taman thought about it. About the plan he had made to disappear to the outer rim. About the life he had imagined alone and forgotten on some distant world. "No," he said. "No regrets." His lungs were still healing from the toxic gases. The doctors said he would need another month before he was fully recovered. Hana was healing too, though slower. They took walks together in the station's corridors, building their strength back up one day at a time. The station had changed around them, or maybe they had changed and the station was just reflecting it back. People looked at them differently now, not just aliens but other humans too. The story had spread. The human who took the krill blows to save a child. The 2 humans who went into toxic fire to save 17 workers. People called them heroes. Taman did not feel like a hero. He just felt like someone who did what needed to be done. But other humans started coming to him. At first it was just to say thank you, to shake his hand. But then they started asking questions. How do you keep going when everything seems impossible? How do you deal with being seen as weak by the other species? How do you find the strength to stand up when you feel like you are nothing? Taman did not have good answers at first. He just talked to them, listened to their stories, shared his own. One day, a young human man named Junho came to the shop. He was a cargo worker like Taman had been. He sat at the counter and did not say anything for a long time. "Can I help you?" Taman finally asked. "I don't know," Junho said quietly. "I was thinking about leaving, going back to Earth. Why?" "Because I'm tired. Every day aliens push me around. They laugh at me. They act like I'm not even there. Like humans are just nothing." He looked up and his eyes were wet. "I'm so tired of feeling worthless." Taman knew that feeling. He had felt it during the war. He had felt it for 2 years after, running from station to station. "You're not worthless," Taman said. "Easy for you to say. You're a hero. You took those blows from the krill. You survived the fire. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who refused to give up." Taman sat down across from him. "Do you know why humans survive things that kill other species? Because we're stubborn? Because we endure. Our bodies can take more pain, more damage, more suffering than most species. But that's not what makes us special." Taman leaned forward. "What makes us special is that we choose to keep going. Even when it hurts. Even when it seems impossible. We stand back up. But why? What's the point if we're just going to get knocked down again? Because someone has to stand. Because if we don't, who will?" Taman thought about Yuri, about the 17 workers, about all the people he had saved during the war. Every time you stand up, you prove them wrong. Every time you endure, you show them that humans are stronger than they think. Junho was quiet for a moment. "Did you ever want to give up?" "Every day. For 2 years I wanted to disappear. I thought running away would make the pain stop." Taman smiled sadly. It didn't. The only thing that helped was stopping, staying in one place, letting people in. "But what if I fail?" "Then you fail. And you get back up and try again." Taman reached across the counter and gripped Junho's shoulder. "That's what being human means. We fall, we fail, we hurt, but we don't stay down." Junho left with something different in his eyes. Not quite hope, but maybe the beginning of it. Other people came after that. Humans dealing with discrimination, with loneliness, with the weight of living on a station where they were treated as lesser beings. Taman talked to all of them. Hana helped, sharing her own story of losing her husband and raising Yuri alone. Together, they created something without meaning to. A place where humans could come and feel heard, feel valued. It started small. Just a few people meeting in the back room of the shop, drinking tea and talking. But it grew. Soon there were 10 people coming. Then 20. They called it the Endurance Circle, though Taman thought that sounded too formal. They talked about their struggles, their fears, their victories. They supported each other, and slowly the human community on Valon Station started to change. They walked with their heads higher. They spoke up when they were treated unfairly. They stood together. The Krill warrior, Darak, came to the shop one day. He had to duck very low to fit through the door. "I hear you teach humans about endurance," he said. "I wouldn't call it teaching," Taman said. "Just talking. My people are interested. We have always valued strength. But strength is not just physical power." Darak placed his fist over his heart. "We wish to learn from humans. To understand this, pain-walking philosophy, pain-walking, this is what we call it. The way humans walk through pain and suffering but do not fall. We thought it was weakness at first. Now we see it as strength of a different kind." Hana came out from the back room. "You want to learn from us?" "Yes, we wish to arrange a cultural exchange. Krill warriors will come to your gatherings. They will listen and learn. In return, we will teach humans about Krill honor codes and combat techniques." Darak looked at Taman. "If you permit." Taman looked at Hana. She shrugged, smiling. "Why not? Could be interesting, so the Krill came. At first it was strange. These massive warriors sitting in the back room of a small shop, listening to humans talk about their feelings and struggles. But they listened respectfully, and sometimes they shared their own stories. Taman learned that Krill culture was built around endurance too, but in a different way. They endured physical pain to prove their strength. Humans endured emotional and psychological pain to protect what they loved. Different methods, same core truth. Strength comes from refusing to break. The cultural exchange spread. Other species became curious. The blue-skinned aliens who had complimented Taman in the market came to observe. A group of insectoid aliens who communicated through pheromones sent representatives. Valon Station was changing. The human quarter was no longer a forgotten corner where humans struggled in silence. It was becoming a place of interest. A place where different species could come and learn about resilience and community. Hana's shop expanded. They hired 3 more workers and opened up the back room permanently for gatherings. Yuri helped out after school, organizing supplies and greeting visitors. One evening, 2 months after the fire, Taman stood outside the shop and looked at the sign Hana had hung above the door. It read, "Endurance Outfitters. Humanity's strength is standing back up. What do you think?" Hana asked, coming up beside him. "It's perfect. We've come a long way from that day in the market." Taman thought about it. About Yuri running into the Krill. About taking those 7 blows. About going into the fire. About all the people who had come through their door seeking help and leaving with hope. "Yeah," he said. "We have." Yuri came running out of the shop, excited. "Taman, there's a message for you on the station comm system. Someone wants to talk to you." They went inside. The comm screen showed an official-looking human woman in a station uniform. She smiled when she saw Taman. "Mr. Taman, my name is Yunji. I'm with the station council. We've been watching the work you've been doing with the human community." "It's not just me," Taman said. "Hana and many others. Yes, we know. Which is why we'd like to offer you both positions on the new Human Affairs Committee. The council has voted to create seats specifically for human representatives. We want to make sure your community has a voice in station governance." Taman looked at Hana. She looked shocked. "We don't have any political experience," Hana said. "You have something better. You have the trust and respect of both the human community and other species. That's more valuable than political experience." Yunji's smile widened. The vote was unanimous. Even the Krill representatives voted in favor. "We'd be honored," Taman said. After the call ended, Hana sat down, stunned. "We're going to be on the station council." "We are. How did this happen?" Taman thought about it. About the chain of events that started with a little girl and a butterfly. "I think we just showed people what humans are capable of." And they listened. Yuri hugged them both. "I'm proud of you. Both of you." That night after the shop closed, the 3 of them sat together in the living quarters above the shop. They ate dinner. They talked about the future. They made plans. Taman looked at them. At Hana, who had refused to let him run away. At Yuri, who had called him family. at the home they had built together. He had come to this station planning to pass through, to work for a few months and then disappear to the outer rim, where no one would know his name. Instead, he had found something he thought he had lost forever: purpose, connection, family. He had stopped running, and in staying still and letting himself be found, he had discovered that healing was possible, that the guilt and pain he carried did not have to define him, that he could be more than his worst moments. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" Hannah asked. "For everything. For not letting me leave. For making me part of this. For giving me a reason to stay." Hannah reached over and squeezed his hand. "You gave us a reason too. You showed us that we're stronger than we thought. That humans are stronger than anyone thinks." Yuri climbed onto Taman's lap. She was getting bigger, but she was still small enough to fit. "Are you going to stay forever now?" Taman looked. The attack came 4 months after Taman decided to stay. It came in the middle of the night shift when half the station was sleeping. The alarms woke Taman from a deep sleep. These were not fire alarms. These were the security breach alarms. Red lights flashed through the windows. The station's automated voice spoke calmly, which somehow made it worse. "Security breach. Hostile forces detected. All residents proceed to safe zones. Security teams respond to sectors 8 through 12. Taman was out of bed immediately. Hannah was already awake, pulling on clothes. Yuri stood in the doorway of her room, clutching her blanket and looking scared. "Pirates," Hannah said, checking her tablet. "A raiding party. They've breached the outer hull and are moving toward the commercial sectors." "They're coming here," Taman said. "The human quarter has valuable goods. We look like easy targets. We need to get Yuri somewhere safe." But before they could move, the tablet buzzed with an emergency message. It was from the station security chief, a gruff alien named Vorak. "All able-bodied humans in the commercial sector. We need your help. Pirates are targeting your quarter. Security forces are spread thin. Can you organize a defense?" Taman looked at Hannah. She looked back. They both knew what this meant. The station security did not think they could protect the human quarter in time. They were asking the humans to protect themselves. "Send the children to the safe zones," Taman said into the comm. "Everyone else who can fight, meet at the Endurance Outfitters shop. We'll organize from there." He closed the connection and looked at Yuri. "Baby, you need to go with Mrs. Kim to the safe zone." "No. I want to stay with you." "Yuri." Hannah knelt down and held her daughter's face. "We need to protect our home. But we can't do that if we're worried about you. Please go somewhere safe. For us." Yuri was crying, but she nodded. Mrs. Kim, the elderly woman who ran the shop next door, appeared at their door to collect her. "I'll keep her safe," Mrs. Kim promised. After they left, Taman and Hannah armed themselves. Nothing fancy, just tools from the shop. Metal bars, work hammers, a few stun batons meant for dealing with aggressive customers. The other humans started arriving. Yunho, the young man who had wanted to leave. A woman named Sora, who worked in the station's hydroponics bay. An older man named Kyung, who had served in Earth's merchant marine. More and more came until there were nearly 40 humans crowded into the shop. They were scared. Taman could see it in their faces, but they were also determined. "Listen," Taman said, standing on the counter so everyone could see him. "Pirates are coming. They think we're easy targets because we're human. Because we're small and weak compared to them." "We are small," someone said. "Yes, we are. But that doesn't make us weak." Taman looked at each face. "We're human. We endure, we survive. We don't quit. And tonight we're going to show these pirates what happens when they underestimate us." Hannah stepped up beside him. "We know this quarter better than they do. We know every corridor, every hiding spot, every shortcut. We use that. We're faster than most species. We're smarter. And we have something they don't." "What's that?" Kyung asked. "We're protecting our home, our families, our community. That makes us dangerous." Hannah gripped her metal bar. "We don't have to win. We just have to hold out until security arrives. We endure." "How long?" Sora asked. 15 minutes. "Maybe 20. "We can do that," Junho said. Others nodded. They split into groups. Some would guard the main corridors leading into the human quarter. Others would protect the homes and shops. Taman organized them like he had organized field medics during the war. Quick, efficient, making sure everyone knew their role. The first pirates appeared 10 minutes later. They were big. Humanoid but covered in thick scales like armor. They carried energy weapons and moved with the confidence of people who had done this many times before. They expected to find scared civilians. Easy prey. Instead, they found organized resistance. The first pirate who entered the main corridor was hit by 3 stun batons at once. He went down hard. The others behind him stopped, surprised. "Run!" Taman shouted. The humans scattered like water, disappearing into side passages and doorways. The pirates chased them, splitting up. That was their first mistake. In the narrow corridors of the human quarter, size was a disadvantage. The pirates were big and slow. The humans were small and fast. They struck from doorways and disappeared before the pirates could react. They dropped cargo containers from above. They sealed doors behind the pirates, trapping them in sections of the station. It was not glorious combat. It was desperate and messy and terrifying, but it worked. Taman found himself fighting alongside Kyung. The older man moved like he had done this before, using his weight and momentum to trip larger opponents. They took down 3 pirates together using their stun batons and metal bars. "Where did you learn to fight?" Taman asked between breaths. "Merchant Marine," Kyung said. "Dealt with pirates before. Different ship, same principle. Use your environment. Never fight fair." More pirates came. These were smarter. They stayed together, moved carefully. They had stun weapons that could drop a human with 1 shot. Junho went down. Then Sora. They were not dead, just unconscious, but it was bad. The humans were starting to lose ground. Taman found Hana defending the shop. She had blood on her face, but she was still fighting. 3 pirates surrounded her. He ran to help. He hit the first pirate from behind, using his metal bar like a club. The pirate turned, roaring. Taman ducked under his swing and hit him again. And again, until the pirate went down. The second pirate grabbed Taman and lifted him off the ground. Taman could not breathe. The world started to go dark. Then Hana hit the pirate with her stun baton, full power. The pirate dropped Taman and staggered. Hana hit him again. He fell. The third pirate raised his weapon, aiming at Hana. Taman threw his metal bar. It hit the pirate's arm and the shot went wild. They fought together back to back, like they had in the fire, like they had become used to. Protecting each other, enduring. Then Taman heard a roar that shook the corridor. A roar he recognized. Darak came around the corner, followed by 5 other Krill warriors. They wore their battle armor and carried massive weapons. When they saw the humans fighting the pirates, something changed in their yellow eyes. "Pakresh," Darak roared. "Our brothers and sisters fight. We stand with them." The Krill charged into battle, and this time the pirates were the ones who were outmatched. Krill warriors were bigger, stronger, and meaner than the pirates, and they were angry. Angry that someone had attacked their iron-blooded friends. The fight turned quickly. The pirates who were not knocked unconscious started to retreat. But the station security had finally arrived, blocking their escape routes. The pirate raid was over. Taman sagged against the wall, breathing hard. Everything hurt. He was pretty sure he had cracked ribs again. His arms felt like rubber. Blood ran from a cut above his eye, but they had won. The human quarter was safe. Darak walked over to him. The massive Krill had blood on his armor, but he looked satisfied. "You fight well, small brother." "You didn't have to come," Taman said. "This wasn't your fight. When Pakresh fights, it is always our fight. We heard the attack on the human quarter and came immediately." Darak placed his fist over his heart. "You have shown the galaxy that humans are not weak. We will stand with you always." Hana appeared at Taman's side. She looked even worse than he did, but she was alive. "Is everyone okay?" "Some injuries. No deaths," Kyung reported. "We did it. We held them off." The other humans started emerging from their hiding spots in defensive positions. They looked at each other in disbelief. They had actually fought off a pirate raid. They had defended their home. The station security chief, Vorak, arrived with his team. He looked at the unconscious pirates, at the humans standing among them, at the Krill warriors standing with the humans. "Impressive," he said. "Very impressive. I didn't think you could hold them." "You underestimated us," Hana said. "Everyone does." "Not anymore." Vorak made a gesture that his species used for respect. "The council will hear about this. How the human community defended themselves, how they worked together, how they survived what should have broken them." Over the next hour, medics arrived to treat the wounded. The pirates were taken into custody. Yuri came running back from the safe zone and threw herself into Hana's arms, crying with relief. Taemin sat on the ground outside the shop, too tired to move. Humans kept coming up to him, thanking him, telling him how brave he was, how his leadership saved them. He did not feel brave. He felt exhausted and sore and ready to sleep for a week. But he also felt something else. Pride. Not in himself, but in all of them. In what they had done together. The station council called an emergency meeting the next day. Taemin and Hana attended, though both were covered in bandages. The council chambers were full. Representatives from every major species on the station had come. Darak was there, along with other Krill leaders, the security chief, even some of the merchants from the market. The council leader, a dignified alien with silver skin, spoke first. "We have called this meeting to address recent events. The attack on the human quarter and the response to that attack.